Hi everyone, and welcome to the Bird Mom, your home for backyard birding. Today we're looking at this backyard to see what kind of bird feeders this backyard birder chose and where they position them. Were they good choices or do they need a little bit of work? So far we've identified 4 big feeder fails that you need to know about. Come on, I'll show you what we're looking at. So here are my 2 areas of big concern, which makes this a bird feeder fail. 1, look up. While this birder thought this was a great spot for birds, and in most cases it was really well planned out, they didn't think about the impact of those hanging branches on this bird feeder station. The squirrels are going to climb down those branches, leap over, jump on top of this bird feeder, and raid this open bird feeder of all the seeds that it has to offer. You're basically just throwing seeds away. The other issue concerned is the type of bird feeder that they've chosen. I love platform and open pavilion feeders. You really get a great assortment of birds that come here and you can see them clearly, so the enjoyment that you have from this type of feeder is enormous. However, I'm really getting turned off by these wooden feeders because over time, and this birder has told me that they've had this for about 2 years, you really start to see degradation from these wood and cedar type feeders. They rot away, there's wear and tear, there's actually sharp edges here that could hurt a bird, and then you can get some water intrusion up here, which really eliminates the benefit of having a rooftop feeder. So I really am tending towards the more sturdier feeders and the recycle feeders that are on the marketplace. Another fail about these types of houses are the ability to clean them. One thing you're going to hear on Bird Mom over and over and over again is you have to keep your bird feeders clean. And I'm not talking about spring cleaning or fall cleaning. I'm talking about a good cleaning every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. How often that your feeders, the birds come that visit them, the amount of birds that come will determine how often you clean them. But cleaning your bird feeders is so important. So to find a feeder that's easy to clean is going to be key to keeping up with your cleaning regimen. This type of bird feeder is not easy to clean. One, it's high up on the ground. So if you're short, you're going to need to climb up on a stool. You're going to need to have a bucket of water with you in your cleansing solution. It's going to get messy. Plus, if you look at the screening here, a lot of the newer bird feeders that are out have a screen that pops up and out. This screen doesn't do that. So you're really not going to get into the nooks and crannies. Plus, this wooden type of design absorbs moisture and it absorbs dirt. You're not going to get the same type of clean that you get with a recycled plastic feeder or with some of the more sturdier feeders that are out there. But don't worry, we have solutions and we're going to show you just what to do. So this lovely tree here was home to a terrific little bird feeder during the winter time. It was a nice spot because you had a beautiful tree full of branches. You had a nice nearby grotto of evergreens that the birds could flit in and out of and find shelter from inclement weather, whether it was spring, summer, fall, or winter. And then you had the home's windows here where the birder could look out of their windows and enjoy their bird feeding station. However, down below lurked incredible danger. So while we think a tree is a natural place for a bird feeder, and usually it is, we have to look at the surroundings of the tree. How open is the space and how close is it to bushes that could hide deadly predators, like the outdoor cat? Don't get me wrong, I love cats when they're inside the house. You may not know this, but domestic cats and feral cats account for 2 billion bird deaths a year. Let me repeat that. 2 billion birds a year just in the US alone are killed by cats that are out in outdoor areas like this. And this backyard birder began to see feathers in their lawn on a frequent basis. Were birds molting or were birds being killed? It turned out that there was a couple of backyard cats that were using this area as their hunting ground. When the birds were eating at the feeder, naturally feed falls to the ground. You're going to get your ground feeders eating that, like your doves, your sparrows, and some of your other ground feeders. The cats use this open space as an opportunity to hide and then they would come out and pounce on their victims. And the backyard birder was finding more and more feathers. They observed, they took the time, thank goodness, and started observing. That's when they removed the bird feeder from the tree. I can't stress to you enough the devastation that cats do every year to birds in our environment. And that sets the ecosystem on a different balance. Something has to be done about birds, and we'll talk about that in another video. But for now, I'm going to teach this backyard birder how to reduce this threat by removing some of this foliage. Here's another fail for this backyard birder. They wanted to use their deck space because it was so close to the window, and they spent a lot of time at their window observing their backyard habitats, and that brought them quite a bit of joy. However, while this was well-intentioned, it needs a little bit of better planning. These deck feeders and deck water sources are wonderful, especially if you have small spaces. They fit easily onto the deck, and they can provide amazing amounts of entertainment for you and a great diversity of birds that come and visit. This particularly is a really nice water source because it's wide, it's not too deep. You don't want to have too deep a source because the birds won't come to it. They'll be afraid to actually go into that water. And then you have this feeder here, which is actually a smaller type of bird feeder that the birder used to put in seed. Now here's the problem with this. One, this is looking a little old, don't you think? Don't you think your birds deserve to have better than a chipped bird bowl? I do. So this really should be replaced, and that's a fail. The other issue is drainage. When you're putting out your bird feeders, you want to choose a bird feeder that has bottom drainage. And the reason is, if these seeds get wet, and if you live in a climate like I do with a lot of precipitation, your bird feeders are going to be under the weather quite a bit. Whether it's rain or snow or sleet, there is a chance that your birdseed gets wet. If your birdseed gets wet, it's going to get moldy, and that's going to kill the birds and make them very, very sick. A lot of diseases spread through moldy birdseed, and wet birdseed is something that you want to avoid. So using a dish like this, some people use clay pots, some people just put a dish, some people have decorative planters that they use. Unless it has this drainage at the bottom, you're really doing your birds a disservice. So if you want to have a bowl like this, you can, but maybe offer fruit in it, maybe offer some things that they might like, maybe offer limited seed that you throw out by the end of the day so you can manage this. Also, another big issue here is the placement of these two objects together. There's just too close a space here. And I can tell you, we refilled this and cleaned out this water source just before this shot, about 30 minutes ago. Already we've had bird visitors to it, and you can see the contamination of the water already. And when you have messy birds on here, like pigeons, like we get, they kick up the birdseed and it actually flies right into the water. Birds are messy creatures. They're not really neat, and they don't use forks and spoons. So they are going to throw, and you're going to see scattering of the seed. So when you have your water source so close to your food source, you're risking contamination of your water. It just makes more work for you because you're going to have to replace that water more and more often every day. So to fix this fail, we're going to replace this. We're going to perhaps find a deck feeder that has the proper drainage at the bottom. And then we're going to move this water source down a little bit so it's further away. This is another example of good intentions, but not so good planning. This is a little grotto that this backyard birder has, and it's adjacent to their front window. So again, they're thinking, stand in their living room, watch the beautiful birds outside. And they did a really nice job aesthetically of setting this up. They have a shepherd's hook, they have a nice platform feeder. This was a really clever idea that I liked. This was a very simple trellis, a very inexpensive trellis, and they got that so the birds could stand, because birds do take turns when they're eating. It's an amazing thing that you'll see if you observe birds in your backyard for some time. So they put this up, and then they repurposed a bird feeder over here. Their water source is on the other side of this little grotto here. So they were planting some perennials at the bottom. These are bugle weeds. They have some nice birds here. And the bugle weeds at the beginning of the year were actually spreading out over this entire area here. So it was very, very pretty. Was it practical? No, and for two reasons. One, the cat. the cat began to live underneath here, and it became his favorite hunting spot because, as I mentioned before, when the birds feed in a platform feeder, they're messy. The birdseed gets thrown out and naturally it falls on the ground. The cat was so well hidden here that it was like shooting fish in a barrel for him. It was easy. He would just jump out, grab a bird, and run away. So it caused, according to the birder, quite a few bird deaths in this area. The other issue here, again, aesthetically pleasing, not great planting. All the perennials that were planted below this area, they died off because of tiny little bird feet. If you get hundreds and hundreds of little bird feet to a very busy feeder that this feeder was, you're not going to have anything grow beneath your feeder. So think about that when you're positioning your bird feeder. What's below it? You're going to have bird waste that you have to clean up, seed waste that you have to clean up. You have to maintain this area. And if you have any substantial plantings like this perennial, the bugleweed here, that's spread out naturally and formed this beautiful purple leaf that comes up with these little purple flowers in the springtime. These are really lovely. If you have anything like that, the birds are just going to trample this away and you're going to lose your valuable plantings. So again, this in theory was a great idea, but once the birds started using it and once the predators understood where it was easy to hunt, it just didn't work out and it was a fail. But we're going to fix this. So today we saw a lot of fails and a lot of things we can improve. In the next episode, we're going to meet the backyard birder that is attempting to improve their backyard birding space, and we're going to show you in action how we fixed these fails and made this backyard birding space even more successful, especially for the upcoming winter season when it gets very busy here in New Jersey. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit that like button, and also hit the notification button so you can get notifications for the next episode of The Bird Mom on YouTube. And if you have a couple of extra dollars hanging about, please click on that donate button below. All the money that you do send us goes to contributing to our efforts to feed our birds here in New Jersey and make better homes for them. A better backyard birding home for your birds helps the ecosystem worldwide. I can't stress that enough. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again soon on The Bird Mom.